What up, peeps? Welcome back to Musicians Help, and today we are talking about, should I be in a band or should I be a hired gun? Now, they're very different. Being in a band meaning that you, 3, 4, 5 other people, just a group of friends or whatever, you all decide to get together and create this band. Being a hired gun means that you solo are out there seeking your own work. You're a professional drummer, guitarist, bassist, instrumentalist, background singer, and you are just working with a wide variety of people doing a wide variety of things versus being solo into just a band. Now, there's pros and cons to both, and I've kind of created this little list that kind of goes with both. And the whole point is not to tell you what to do, just to maybe just spark a little thought, have some conversation with your friends, and let's see what works best here, and let's go from there. So here we go. Bands. All right, bands. Bands are great. A lot of pros to working with a band. Once you find your band members, your hunt is over. Now all you have to do is practice, get solid at whatever you're doing. Could be cover band, could be originals, could be recording band and trying to get signed to labels. But once you find this core group of people, the hunt is over. You really just have to work together now, create this amazing product, be able to put it out there and to do just that. Another great thing here when you're with the band is that you can start delegating work. Everything's just not solely on you to do marketing or to do all the songwriting or to do all the arranging or to do whatever. You could delegate a lot of work here to every member and you can cover more ground, divide it, and then come back together as a unit. A lot of benefits to that, especially if everybody has a certain skill set or they think a little bit differently, which is hopefully what you have. You want to have people that are really good at different things. Like I said, someone's really good at marketing. So maybe someone's really good at being a booking, so they talk well, they carry themselves, they can represent the band in a really, really professional light. Maybe you have someone that's really good at content creating. Maybe you have someone that understands analytics of social media really well. Great, maybe you have a really good songwriter and someone's really good at running software, and then you can just utilize a whole different system here and everybody's skill set to work together as a cohesive unit for the band. It's a great benefit. The real big thing here is that you are developing and you're moving as a unit. It's really nice to have people in the struggle with you directly here as we're going through and we're learning how to deal with managers, we're learning how to deal with booking agents, we're learning what to deal with contracts. We're learning together here. I had a lot of great benefits when I was in a band. Like I said, I learned how to deal with managers. I learned how to deal with booking agents. I learned how to work well with other musicians directly and deal with other personalities. And it was a lot of benefits to it. It wasn't the right thing for me. However, there was a lot of great things I learned working with the band. Now, there's definitely some cons with working with a band, and I'm only gonna speak on just my experiences here. And like I said, the whole point is just to spark some thoughts and conversation here. That way we can just think about things a little bit differently. One of the cons that I noticed is that you're dealing with a wide variety of commitment levels. Now, hopefully you find a band and everybody in the band commitment-wise is like, yeah, I'm all in, I'm all in, I'm all in, I'm all in. But we know, like any relationship or people just in general, at first it sounds cool. Think about working out. Everyone's excited at first. The first week's amazing. Second week kind of sucks, and then it starts to dwindle off because you really have to have some discipline and care and got to figure things out and whatever. The same thing happens with bands. At first, everyone's excited and they're ready to show up and they're eager, they're learning music and they're researching and all this other good stuff. However, that's going to dwindle out. Maybe you can bring them back and that's kind of the give and take in the band here, but oftentimes you're gonna run into a scheduling conflict only because of commitment level, nothing more. Everybody's gonna have different level of requirements and whatever they need. Maybe they have a family, maybe they have children, maybe they have a wife, maybe they have a girlfriend or a husband or a boyfriend or whatever. They have other commitments here and they may have to have a 9-to-5 job, which is nothing wrong with that. So in the midst of that though, you're gonna deal with scheduling problems. That could be a con sometimes, especially if we're all trying to move forward or we have an upcoming show and then someone's like, yo, I can't rehearse that time because I have my daughter's soccer game. Well, can you get mad at them for that? No, you have to be understanding of that. However, you do have a product here of a band that we're trying to do and you're kind of messing that up. Another part of that is you have to deal with attitudes and personalities. Now, when you're in a hired gun situation, well, you can just fire some person and then get a new hired gun to come in if their personality is not meshing well with the other band members. If you're with the band, it's a lot harder because as a brand here, everybody's face is the face, if you've structured it well, of this band. For example, Dave Matthews Band. You know who Dave Matthews is, but you also know who Carter Buford is. You know who Buddy Strong is on keys. You know the violinists. You know these individual musicians here because they branded themselves really well as a band. And if one of them is missing, you're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Let you go to a Dave Matthews Band and Carter Buford is not sitting behind those drums. You're like, what's going on back here? Something happened. Yeah, but that's what you want to do. You want to brand yourself as a band. So when you're dealing with attitudes and personalities, you can't really get rid of someone as easily. It might be a negotiation, but just remember, that's going to influence the structure of the band. It's going to change the dynamic of the band. And it's a band. They have equal parts in this just as well as you do. It's not easy to get rid of someone. So there's a lot of other pros and cons to dealing with bands, but that's kind of the general gist of what I've come up with. And throw it in the comment section of bands here. If you work with the band, you deal with the band, maybe you have some solutions to those cons that I threw out there. Great, let's have that conversation, throw it in the comments, and let's talk about it. Let's shift into hired gun. This is my expertise. I love being a hired gun. I enjoy it. Let's just get into it. So here's some pros to being a hired gun. Everything is on you. I personally love that aspect, that my career is only built off of me. If I don't research some things and networking well and practicing well and doing all this other stuff, well, I won't work. That's just kind of how the gig is. And even from studio work all the way out to playing on tour, I have to be able to do certain things that are only based off my productivity. I enjoy that aspect. That's kind of nice where my career is in my hand. Another pro that I developed is that it can be easier to get work. Meaning that you could do anything from a bar gig to a corporate wedding gig or to a corporate account or playing for a church or doing an acoustic show for an artist or doing session work or teaching lessons. Everything is just kind of on you being a hired gun when you're playing out. It just requires you to network and communicate with other people and to kind of get out there and get your name circulating in different circles. And you usually can make ends meet and take these odd-end gigs. For example, let's say I'm not on the road. Yeah, we take other bar gigs and we take, small club gigs sometimes. We might just take a spot date somewhere, meaning that we're just doing literally one show someplace with an artist and then we're back home. It's not a long run, but I'm a hired gun, so I take those gigs to kind of supplement when I'm not on the road doing like a long drawn out 2-3 months of a tour. So there's a lot of pros in my opinion of being a hired gun, but let's just also talk about the cons. Now, one of the pros that I personally enjoy, like I said, is everything is on me, but this could be labeled as a con, meaning I have to figure out my own marketing, I have to figure out my own branding, I have to figure out my own analytics in terms of when I'm posting on social media if I am, but everything is solely on me, from networking and creating my own access points and just developing my own brand here with other hired guns and musical directors and artists and all this other stuff. That could be a con. It could be exhausting because everything is on you. If you're not that kind of person where you enjoy everything being on you, you may want to shift to the band route and see if you could delegate some work and responsibilities. Well, it just really depends on you. Another con here is that, I hate to say this, but your hunt for work and developing relationships never stops. And it doesn't mean that you're always gonna have to do jam sessions or you're always gonna have to do small club gigs or whatever. No, that's not what I'm saying. But this is a world when you're a hired gun where it's kind of this out of sight, out of mind kind of thing. And there's a give and take here. You might have to just send a friendly text, hey, just checking in on you, as you should, by the way, and not looking for something. But you do have to be a lot more engaging and staying more, I won't say in people's faces, but just kind of keeping your name circulating in a wide variety of ways. Maybe you go out and support your friends and they're playing a show in your city. Cool, yo, you pop up, oh man, I haven't seen you in a while. It's really great to see you. And all the times that kind of stuff's like, oh shoot, man, I forgot all about you. Cool, and then something 2-3 months down the road, yo, so glad I ran into you. I have this gig for you. Are you down to do this? What's your availability? Those types of things help. Sending that little text message, yo, just thinking about you. Hope all is well, man. Checking in with people, that is that. But if you're an introvert organically, this might be a really hard thing for you because you have to be a little bit extroverted with your communication and your accessibility here. So that could be a con for you. Now, the other part here, that when you're a hired gun, what I'm noticing here, especially now in today's climate, there's not a lot of people retiring being a hired gun. There's definitely bands that retire, right? We think about like Blink-182, we're thinking about like 311, right? We're looking at people like AC/DC and like The Roots and all these other iconic bands themselves. They're able to retire because they've positioned themselves to not just be a band, but they're becoming artists, like Earth, Wind & Fire, Chicago, Tower of Power. These people are still playing, but this is solely by choice now. It's not by force, because if I don't go out and play the show, then my lights are gonna cut off. If I don't go do this, then my cell phone's getting cut off. It's a much different thing as a band now, because you've essentially established this band to be an artist. When you're in hired gun, you are the help. That's just who we are as hired guns, we're the help. So you're not really able to retire so much because your checks just don't really reflect that being the help. Sometimes they can, and depending on how you structure it, you might be able to. But if you notice, there's a lot of musicians here that have transferred over to being instructors at universities here after playing for X amount of time. And there is a shelf life on being a hired gun playing behind an artist. For example, you're not gonna see a 50-year-old musician playing behind this new 16-year-old, 18-year-old artist. It's not really a thing. Image-wise, you don't fit the bill, and you guys are at two different points here. And like I said, if you're 50 years into this career or 50 years old, you probably have like 30 plus years in this. This person's new. They probably aren't gonna be able to afford your rates at this point either, but maybe that might have been the thing to kind of help you out. Long story short, there's a shelf life on this. So thinking about what you're doing is important in terms of, can you retire? Like I said, there's pros and cons to all this, and the whole point is, for me, is not to tell you what to do. It's just to spark conversation and thoughts. When you start thinking about things in terms of, do I want to get into a band? Do I want to be a hired gun? Do I want to do all this other stuff? You got to think about these things and where you want to go. And it's okay to shift lanes too. You can start down one path and then end up going down another. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. No one cares. Do whatever's best for you at all times. However, like I said, we want to have thoughts. We want to have these conversations. And part of that is you all commenting in the section. There might have been things that I missed. That's okay. Drop them in the comments. Say, yo, here's another way to think about this. Here's another way to approach this. Here's something that I experienced in a band. Here's something that I encounter being a hired gun. Great. Have these conversations here. This is Musicians Help. We as musicians have to help each other out. If there's something specific that you have a question for me, or there's a topic you want me to make a video about, let's do it. Drop it in the comments, send me a DM on Instagram or something, and I'll try to check those more frequently. But let's start talking about this, guys and gals and people of all sorts of kinds. Let's start talking about all of this stuff. So leave a comment, make sure you guys like, share this video with all your other musicians. Let's work together and develop a great community. So that's gonna be it for me. You'll have a great day.